I'm gonna assume that you already have a pretty decent understanding on who Gerard Way is. I don't think I'm gonna have to go too deep on that. If you want to learn more about this man's lore, you can spend a whole day. They can teach a class about this man and his life because it is so interesting to me. He's the lead singer of MCR, My Chemical Romance, and he is a comic book illustrator and writer. And most importantly, he is an it girl. Forever and always will be that bitch. To me, at least. So I don't want to talk about MCR too much in this video, but it is impossible to talk about this album without talking about MCR and the time period that this album came out during in context to all of that. I want you to close your eyes and imagine March 22nd, 2013. If you can, if you're able to. Just remember what that time period was like. Let's just think about it. Anyways, that was the day that My Chemical Romance broke up. Needless to say, I was absolutely horrendously upset. 13-year-old Hannah, literally at the peak of her emo phase, finding out that My Chemical Romance broke up. Just to put it into context, I have been an MCR fan since since I could talk. I literally don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't aware of MCR's existence and I wasn't actively a fan. I can't remember. They've always just been a part of my life for as long as I have been conscious. Okay? That's how serious this is for me. When I found out they broke up, needless to say, it ruined my entire year. I was so depressed. But that's not what video is about, obviously. But it is worth mentioning because the creation of this album is very intertwined with the ending of MCR. This guy releases his solo album a little over a year after MCR breaks up, which in my opinion is just such a ballsy move to do. Because I remember when this album came out, I was pissed. I was not happy about this at all. I felt betrayed. Little 13, 14-year-old Hannah, she felt very betrayed. And I actually did not listen to this album for months to boycott because of how upset I was. Because it was how dare he? How dare he be an artist and try new things and try to do something by himself? How dare he? How dare he be a person with his own goals and ambitions and artistic vision? How dare he? That was what I was thinking when I was 14. Until I grew the fuck up and turned 15. And when I became a real teenager and a real adult, and that's when the haze cleared and I finally gave it a listen. And oh my god, it changed my life actually. And that's not an understatement. This album actually really did shape me in a lot of ways. I feel like if Hesitant Alien had never come out, I don't know if I can confidently say that I would be the person that I am today, which sounds dramatic, I know, but I'm a little dramatic, I guess. Not only is this album released right after MCR breaks up, almost, it feels like, it is completely different from anything that MCR has ever released. And that also kind of felt like a slap in the face to me. Yeah, this guy had some fucking balls for doing this. Let me just say, with the fan base that he has, I don't know if I could say the same thing about myself. I would just go into hiding. Hello. You're probably a little bit confused right now, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. I lost footage. I'm sorry. I ended up deleting 2 segments that I needed, and if I want to get the video out in the time that I want it to come out, I have to film these parts now. So that's why I'm in my pajamas. corner of shame. The first thing that I missed was Gerard Way's musical influences for this album, so I'm just gonna go over them really quickly. First off, we have, of course, David Bowie. You can't look at Hesitant Alien and not think about David Bowie. Come on now. Iggy Pop, Suede, Blur, Lush, Pulp, Oasis, Elastica, Sleeper, Echobelly, Supergrass, and Wire. He also mentions Jesus and the Mary Chain in an interview I watched. Yeah, so this is a Britpop album. This is very, very much Gerard's ode to that genre of music. He did also mention having influences from like Riot Girl and that kind of era, that like kind of female fronted punk band kind of vibe. I also just wanted to interject here. Gerard doesn't mention too many other influences that aren't music. Like he doesn't really talk that much about like movies or TV shows or something like that, which makes sense. It's an album. I just want to say really quickly, I recently watched this movie called Man Who Fell to Earth, starring David Bowie, literally starring David Bowie. It's literally about an alien. David Bowie is an alien, and he travels to Earth for a reason. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but like, literally, Gerard, you are literally lying to me if you deny that you had this movie in the back of your head for like even a little bit while you were making this record. There's no way. There's a joke in the movie. David Bowie's wife is like, wear this blue suit that I got you, and he's like, blue's not my color. It doesn't look good on me. And it's literally a blue suit, like Gerard Way has in the album. I'm just saying, like, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm 99% sure that I'm right about that. Also, on the topic of movies, while we're here, another movie that you probably like if you like Hesitant Alien, Velvet Goldmine. Velvet Goldmine. Watch Velvet Goldmine if you haven't already, if you like Hesitant Alien. I know you'll probably get a kick out of it. I know the audience. I know those two audiences. Yeah, I think I know. So yeah, besides like straight up like musical influences, he does also talk about Japan being a pretty like decent influence on this album too, because Gerard Way is a fucking weeaboo, as we all know. He loves Japan. Also, just like I think his own art, this album really was just like Gerard just like getting all of his shit together and just like throwing it at just at the wall and like seeing what stuck. He put a lot of artistic effort into making this. It wasn't just like an album. Like it felt like a moment. He really wanted to make it like a moment. He talks a lot in interviews about how he was trying to bring like a Britpop like kind of thing back. Like he was like, I guess this album was his attempt to like bring it back to like the masses, which didn't work. No, I can't really say it did. That's not a bad thing, you know? Like, I think it's really cool that he really, like, tried to, like, do something, like, a little bit different than what was popular at the time or what people were expecting him to do. And that's, like, when we get into the actual album, that's kind of what the lyrics and stuff, that's kind of what it's all about. So, next, I want to talk about Lola. I really want a little Lola plushie to put in my thing over here. That would be really cool. Lola is it's a lot of people make the joke that it's Gerard Way's persona, which I could totally, yeah, I agree. That's Gerard Way's persona. Like, come on now. Lola was kind of just made as like a mascot for the album. She doesn't really have much presence in the actual like the actual meat of the album. She's just kind of like there, and I don't say that in a bad way. We love Lola. Gerard Way's inspiration for her was basically just like the Japanese like masks, you know. That's the only like reference that I saw him make about it, she wasn't based off of anything very specific. Lola is very much like a bigger part of like the social media aspect of this album, which there are a few different things. They made a lot of different social media accounts for Lola, most notably her Twitter and Instagram. The Twitter, I think, was a little bit more active because Gerard was hella on Twitter at one point. I miss it so much. Lola's social media accounts, like the Instagram and the Twitter, they were pretty much just like, imagine like Gerard Way updates, okay? Imagine like an account called Gerard Way Updates, you know, like a Stan account on Twitter. That's essentially what Lola was, but it was a little bit more wholesome. It's mostly just like reposting fan art, just talking about news relating to Gerard Way, things like that. So the Twitter has been dormant since 2020 following the infamous Black Square incident, which, if you don't know what the Black Square incident is, I don't want to talk about it, but it goes into my next point, so I'm gonna just briefly touch on it. If you don't remember, during the George Floyd protests slash, you know, like when all of that was happening, there was a dumb social media trend on Instagram where people just posted a black square in solidarity with the BLM movement. I don't really blame people for flaming him for this. Yeah, he got a lot of backlash because he posted a black square during all of this, which is just like, yeah, no, that was. He made like a statement about it. You know, he apologized. That was it. That was the last thing that the Lola plus G Twitter account posted, which leads into my next point. Who runs the Lola plus G social media? There's a lot of speculation, but it's all kind of most people unanimously agree that it's Gerard and his wife Lindsay who co-run the account. There's some like people who think that it's like someone at Warner, who like a social media person at Warner who runs the account, but I don't really see. I'm kind of on the team where it's probably Gerard and Lindsay who run it. Because the posts are just not, you know, this was the 2010s. You have to remember, this was before companies started to really like get social media. You could easily clock that it was like, oh, this is just like a fucking, you know, social media person that they hired, you know? Like the tweets would feel a lot more corporate and they would feel a lot more like sanitized. Whereas the Lola plus G Twitter account didn't really feel like that. It was giving very like personal account vibes. If it was somebody at Warner, you know, the account probably would have gone dead after the Hesitant Alien run. It just doesn't really make sense that the account stayed active like 5 years, 4 or 5 years after, no, like 6 years after the album dropped. Also, the Black Square incident. Yeah, I think it is kind of telling that ever since that was like the last post from the Twitter account, it does kind of allude that it was Gerard slash Lynn's who was running the account, and they were just like, fuck it, like I'm done with Twitter, I'm done with social media. Next, there's the Lola plus G Instagram account, which has actually kind of been a little bit more active more than the Twitter, because the last post was made in 2022 to promote the 4th season of Umbrella Academy. That makes me think that maybe the Instagram is potentially run by someone like on the more corporate side of things, like someone from Warner who just wants to keep the account, like they just want to keep the account alive for some reason. It's essentially just like a Gerard Way news page, but they haven't updated in a few years. More on why I think that is later. There's also a Tumblr account because Again, it was the 2010s. Everybody and their mom had a Tumblr at one point. The Tumblr is essentially just reposts of Instagram posts, nothing really that notable. There is also a YouTube account that has 2 videos on it. The first one is called Lola Does London, in which it is just Lola walking around London to one of the songs from the album, and that's literally it. That's all it is. Which I watch this now and I'm like, wow, okay, this is kind of weird. But you have to remember that like this was the early 2010s. The teens wanted to go to the UK. Like that was the cool place. Like you have to understand this. It sounds crazy now because now it's like, ooh, Britain. I'm sure in like 2014 when this album dropped, you know, you watch the video and you're like, bro, dude, London is so cool. The second video, Jersey or Bust, is a cute little promo video for the upcoming tour. It's very cute and funny. It's basically just a video of Lola and Gerard sitting at a bar, and Gerard is like, hey, you can't, we don't have any room for you on the bus, so you have to hitchhike to get to Jersey. And it's, yeah, and then she like goes outside and she like holds a sign. It says Jersey or bus. She like hitchhikes, or tries to. Next, before we get into the album, I do also want to touch a little bit on the Hesitant Alien zine. There was only 500 of these made. If you don't know what a zine is, I'll let Gerard Way explain it himself.
A zine is something you put together at home by yourself, usually involving a lot of, you know, Scotch tape and things like that, and you cut pieces out of magazines, and then you put it all together, you go to a Kinko's, and you photocopy them.
It's hard to find. Like an original copy, it is hard to find. I think I found one on Depop for like $80, which I guess makes sense because it was a limited run, but you know. So I could only find scans of these on Tumblr. I'll leave the link down below if you want to take a look. Shout out Na 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 etc on Tumblr for posting these very clean scans. The zine touches more on like his influences, the things that he used to make the album, some funky art, some poetry. It's a zine, you know, like it very much has a spirit of a zine, which really ties into like the very kind of, I want to say teenage or like young kind of vibe that this album is going for. I don't know if I would say teenage, but it's very much trying to go for like a very DIY approach to all of this. The fact that he made a zine, you know, which I also think more artists should do. I'm gonna like gush for a little bit, but this guy was like really trying to like push for like, you know, making bodies of like art, you know, not just albums, but like bodies of art, which I really appreciate, you know what I mean? Because it's like, who the fuck else is making a zine about like the album that they just made? Like nobody really does that. I mean, maybe back then, I don't know. I'm a filthy little Gen Zer, so I don't remember a life before computer that much. I think we should bring it back. I think it would be cool because I have a lot of albums that I personally really like, that I would love to like read like a little booklet about like, oh, this is the stuff that I like. This is the stuff that, you know, I made, or this is the stuff that inspired me to make the album, and, you know, like sell them for like $5 at shows. I hope I can see more of that down the line. Anyways, my personal favorite page is the big spread that says "Why is life so hard?" with the walruses in the middle. He goes over a lot of things in the zine. There is one page that I will save till the end to talk about because it ties into something else, so we'll put a pin in that for later. So now we're gonna talk about the actual album. Finally, let's get to the meat and bones of this thing. Come on, let's dig in. There are 12 albums. 12 albums? 12 songs on the album. 11 technically if you live anywhere else but Japan, because the 12th song is a Japan exclusive. We have the first song, let's go over the first song, The Bureau. This next part is just gonna be me singing the whole album front to back, just my voice, no instrumentals, no backing, no nothing, just me in my living room vaguely singing. So we open up with The Bureau, which is a very it's very rock and roll. It's a rock and roll song because this is a rock and roll album. It's a rock and roll album. Okay, and that's what The Bureau is trying to tell you. This opening part, it sets the stage. That's very much what it feels like. It feels like kind of that before the big show, before the concert. We gotta get ready. Put your pants on. This song is about the entertainment industry, and that's kind of the vibe that it gives with the lyrics and stuff. It's kind of about having to upkeep a certain image for yourself, despite that not maybe being who you really are, which is a huge theme that just goes across this whole album, really. Being a puppet for this entertainment industry and what that means, and kind of selling your soul to the devil in a sense. That's a vibe that I get from this. That's the opening track. We already have a really strong theme that is just gonna keep barreling through the rest of the fucking album. Next, we are going to talk about Action Cat. Meow, meow, meow. Action Cat. This song is literally about breaking up. The song is quite literally it's about a romantic breakup, kind of pushing yourself aside to make things work, pushing yourself aside so you can kind of just keep doing things the way that you've been doing them. You don't want to get hurt. Hoping to find a new meaningful connection, but being afraid to do so. That was what I wrote in my notes here. Being kind of pathetic, I guess, in a way. There's literally a few, a lyric that's I said I miss you, now you say it to me. Now you say I miss you too. You know what I mean? It's very love me, stay with me. But also, we have to not be together. It's not good for us. So next we have No Shows, which is the first single that Gerard released for a teaser for this album. It's about a new relationship forming. The theme of putting yourself aside for the sake of somebody else comes up again, being so enmeshed within somebody else that it's I don't want to think for myself. I want to just be smothered in this new love. It's like a drug to me. I don't want to think about anything else except this person. I just want to be consumed by this, because I don't want to feel pain. It's kind of about numbing the pain in a way. The title is quite literally No Shows. We don't need no shows. This is kind of also Gerard scaling back, kind of just being this is what it's all about. It's just about the fucking music. I don't want to have to do all the theatrics. I just want to go on there and just perform. Next, we have Brother. This one is sad. This is a sad song. Gerard, if you know, has struggled quite a bit with substance abuse, addiction, depression, things like that. And it was especially rampant during the early days of MCR. And it was also starting to kind of come back during the end of MCR, where he kind of relapsed into alcohol. This song is kind of just about having someone to lean on, having someone to understand you, to be there for you, wanting someone to be there for you. It is quite literally about the relationship with his brother Mikey, who also struggled with addiction. Yeah, the song made me cry a couple times when I would listen to it, because there's a lyric that's kind of just like, remember like when you and I would make things up so many nights, just take me down to the place we can hear them play. I miss that sound. This kind of darkness and like, you know, this like problem that just kind of like separated them, you know. It's not the same as it used to be when we were kids, you know. Now we're gonna get into one of my personal favorite songs on the album, Millions. This song is specifically, very specifically about the MCR breakup. Gerard says it's about like a group of thieves that like kind of just like shit just goes wrong and they all just kind of have to go their separate ways. This song is just like, I'm done. I'm done. It's kind of this song specifically is a really good song to listen to like during a breakup. That part that's like, you don't understand, we don't hold hands, come catch me run, 'cause I'm not having any fun. I love singing that song in the car. It's kind of just this like ending, knowing that like you're done, but you're still hopeful for the future. And I really like it a lot because of that. Also, Mikey Way has backing vocals on this song. Fun fact, the part where it's like, it was really me, it was really you. That part is that second part, that's Mikey. The next song is called 00, which was apparently inspired by Song 2 by Blur. This one is a little bit more sparse in lyrical content, you know. It's got this like, it's got this like punky kind of, not punky, but like, you know, fuzzy kind of heavier sound. It's a song about kind of just feeling insignificant, overlooked. Gerard has talked a lot about how he feels like an outsider in the music sphere. Like he's always kind of felt like an outsider in his life. This song was also one of my favorites when I first listened to it. Okay, this next part is going to be I'm gonna go a little crazy at this part, okay? This next song is called Harez. Not Juarez, Harez, which is the sister city to my hometown, the town that I'm living in right now, El Paso, Texas. You want to know a fun fact about the recording of this album? Do you want to know where part of this album was actually recorded? Close to El Paso, Texas. This album was partially recorded at Sonic Ranch, which is in Tornillo, Texas, which is about like a 45-minute hour drive out from here. When I found out that this album was recorded there, I wanted to rip my eyeballs out and scream. I have to control myself. I have to control myself. There's just okay. So there's a lot. The song itself actually is pretty, you know, not. It's also kind of lyrically sparse, I would say. Just the fact that I was in the same vicinity as Gerard Way, would you don't understand like how crazy this makes me feel, because I have literally been to Sonic Ranch. I went to Sonic Ranch a few years after he recorded there. I've stood in the same room that he did. And you want to know what else? What the other kicker is that some random fucking kid who was the son of some musician in Juarez like got to meet Gerard Way, and like he like played guitar for them. And I'm sorry, like, I sound bitter and jealous, and it's because I am jealous. I am bitter and jealous. If you were that kid who got to meet Gerard Way, by the way, at Sonic Ranch, and you're watching this video, please comment and let me know what that was like, because I am just wow. Yeah, so Juarez, okay, getting back on track now. The fact that it was called that is just like so interesting to me. There's like a spoken word verse in this song that is in Spanish that translates to, this is what I want to be, dreaming, I want more, breathing hot, I'm changing the sun, I'm changing my center, I'm burning the temporary shadow of guns. But my question is, why Spanish? When you like look at like the pool of inspiration that Gerard got for this album, there's nothing in there that really alludes to like Mexico. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just like it makes me crazy to think about because I couldn't really find that much info about why he decided to make the song the way that he did. And if I'm wrong and if I missed something, like please let me know because this is genuinely like this has been like on my mind continuously for the past like 2 weeks. Like why Spanish? It would make so much more sense in like the world of Hesitant Alien if this was like in Japanese, you know, because you know Gerard Way is a little weeaboo. That's why. I also did a tiny bit of digging, and the woman who did the spoken word verse is credited on the Wikipedia. She doesn't have a link like on her name, so I just like copied and pasted her name into Google, and I think she still lives here in El Paso. Sabina Olaj? Oh, I think it's Olagi? I don't know. Please correct me in that. The only thing I could find about her was like a half-functional Weebly page where it's just a paragraph talking about her work and then some court documents. And then I started deep diving into her court documents. If this is the same person, like it's crazy. She was in like a legal battle with like a local restaurant here. Fun fact, I guess. I don't know. I got a personal grasp in this specific song. I see Harez literally every day. I'm not even kidding. I drive on the highway and it's right there. Anyway, what is the song about? In like the lyricism, it's kind of feeling like you're not being able to catch up and, you know, he talks about not being able to swim, which is also like kind of a reference to I'm Not Okay, you know, the little like spoken word thing at the beginning that Ray does. Personally, me, like every single time I would listen to this song, I would just think about it's like, why is he writing a song about running from border patrol? Because it's like, I can't swim. Don't rub it in. I'm gonna run a little faster. If you don't know, you kind of have to cross a river to get from Juarez to El Paso. Like there's a river that's separate, the Rio Grande, it separates the cities. That's what, and then like the sirens, like the kind of siren sounds and like the Spanish, like it just like the images in my mind, it's just like someone running from border patrol. I don't know, like that's literally what in my mind, like that's what the canon is. I can't think of it as anything else other than that. Like that's what I think. Why Spanish? It's just like the more I look into it, the album, like when I was doing my research, the more I kept going back to this song. If you are the woman who did the spoken word verse for this song and you watch this video, please, anybody who was involved like in the making of this song, I want to know. I'm just so curious, you know? I have a personal connection to the song, like quite literally. Okay, now we're gonna slow down for a bit. Drugstore perfume. This is actually my current favorite song on the album right now. This song is just so like dreamy and yearning. It's sad. It's kind of like it gives like doomed to romance kind of vibes, you know. It's basically just about this woman who is very, very unhappy with where she's at in her life, feels very stagnant. You know, there's a lot of imagery of like deserted little nothing town that doesn't have anything going for it and being stuck there and wanting to leave, but not really knowing when, not really knowing how. And it's kind of just about this like guy and this girl who get together, and you know, the girl ends up leaving and he knows it's better for her, but he's still sad because he has to stay there. Like he can't go with her, but she has to do what's best for herself. You know, it's like that's the gist of the song. Next, we have Get the Gang Together. This one is a little bit more like it's a bit more rocky. It has kind of like a chaotic, like kind of like, what kind of vibe. It's just Gerard Way asking a bunch of questions as a character. There's a lot of themes of like crime, being interrogated, trying to get the gang back together. There's a small controversy that came out, not it wasn't like a controversy. It was just more like people on Twitter were like, "Hey, this is kind of weird." There's a lyric that goes, "You heard what happened to Sly. Anyways, they call him Michelle now, and he had a new baby, a little girl, Gemini," which is alluding to like someone transitioning. People were kind of giving him flack on this for on Twitter because it was kind of like, why are you misgendering this trans woman in your song? And then Gerard was like, well, I'm trying to do it from the perspective of someone who is ignorant to pronouns and like who doesn't really understand that kind of thing, like because Gerard himself is very pro-trans. I guess I could kind of see both sides. Like, on one hand, like, I can understand, like, people listening to the song and at first being like, why did you misgender her? That's kind of weird. But, like, with that context, it makes sense. Like, it's not Gerard talking, it's, like, him talking as like a character, you know? It was just like everybody was just like, hey, maybe you should word that a little bit better next time. And Gerard was like, okay. Next we have How It's Going to Be. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this was a skip for a while. I skipped the song a lot when I first listened to this album. I just didn't like it. I don't know, I didn't like how it sounded, the structure, just like the instrumentation. It just wasn't really my thing. It's growing on me. It's fine. It's a good song. I just, it was a skip for a really long time. The song is about how it's going to be. It's kind of just like wearily welcoming the future, you know, not really knowing what's gonna happen, but being excited about it. And that's all I have to say. Next we have Maya the Psychic. This was my favorite song when I was like 15. This song is about mental illness. There's a lot of alluding to like hearing voices. There's a lot of mention of like literally hearing voices, which Gerard mentioned. Like there would be some days where he would just be so out of it that he would start hearing voices quite literally. He would start hallucinating. So that's kind of what this song is about. It's kind of about being there for people with mental illness, you know. The title of the song is based off of a manga called Mai, the Psychic Girl. That's where the name came from. I have not read any of the manga. The cover looks cool though. It's about mental illness, but it kind of paints it more in like a cosmic alien, like space age kind of way, which I really liked when I was like 15. I related to it because I too have struggled with mental illness in the past. It's a cool closing song. It's a cool, like, yeah, that's the only way I can describe it. So that's the end of the album if you're living in anywhere but Japan. But if you are someone who lives in Japan, then you got to listen to the Japanese exclusive song Television All the Time. This song is basically just like phone bad, technology bad, which in 2025 I agree. Actually, this kind of alludes to just like how technology has just really taken over our lives, and it's kind of keeping us from being human in a sense. Humans are meant to make mistakes, and technology is kind of keeping us from doing that, and it kind of stunts our growth because of it, which I kind of agree, actually. Media consumption has like really just become such a core part of our identities, especially like in the West, specifically America, which, you know, I don't think is like a bad thing. I don't think it's wrong for people to, you know, consume art and see it as that, but I do understand where he's coming from in this song. You just want to consume because you don't want to think about anything else, because maybe you're depressed and unhappy with your life, and so you're just binge watching a whole fucking show in 2 days, you know what I mean? And you're just letting that completely envelop your brain, which is something I have been guilty of. So that's the end of the album. There are a couple little extra songs that were dropped. In 2016, there was a Record Store Day exclusive vinyl. Yes, so we have Pinkish. I love this song. It's just such a desolate song. It's just such a guttural song, in my opinion. He yells, you know, he screams a little bit. I understand why this song wasn't on the album. You know, the album itself fully has like a very like happy, sad but also still optimistic kind of feeling. Pinkish is very like feeling hurt and hurting others because of it. Just being so like volatile and unstable in a way that you need someone. Like you can't be alone. Like that I Ugh, I used to cry to that song, let me tell you. This can very much allude to like that kind of like emptiness and desolate feeling that Gerard might have had when the band finally broke up. It's very like, oh man, I gotta listen to it right now. I gotta stop the video and listen to it. And then there's Don't Try, which is kind of another song that's very like, I don't feel like it. I don't wanna. Just not being in the mood for social interaction. There's like kind of a lyric that alludes to like a love triangle that he is losing in because he's too scared to approach the other person, and the person that his competitor is sweeping her away or them away, whoever they are. Don't Try is also kind of a skip for me. It was kind of a skip for me for a while, but it's growing on me. And then in 2020 he released a SoundCloud demo called PS Earth. Not much to say about that. It's just a little demo that he dropped in 2020, which was very cool. And I wish he would drop more little demos because I want to hear what he's been doing. But it's not like I care. It's not like I fucking care. So yeah, that's Hesitant Alien. I'm not done yet though. I still have things I need to talk about. There is no real underarching story, like there's not like a set narrative that you can really follow. It is very much just like new beginnings, pain, struggling to find yourself in a way, like losing yourself and then like kind of coming out of it and being like, whoa, what the fuck was that? I need to go back to like ground like zero. I need to go back to step one. Like I need to just like totally let myself go from all of that and start something new. That's what this album is about. It is sad, but it's very hopeful. It's very light. It's in some ways, it's got some bops, it's got some sad songs. It's got a little bit of everything. And it's not that long. It's only 36 minutes, I think, or something like that. Listen to it if you haven't already. It's very fuzzy. It's very dreamy. It's very pink. It's very like 80s. It's cute. It's glammy. It's glittery. It's fun. It's colorful. It was cool. It was cool to witness him do that after MCR, especially after the backlash he got for Danger Days, mind you, and then to go and be like, well, you know what? I'm gonna do something even more fucking colorful and positive. I'm gonna make a fucking Britpop album. So the visual aesthetic of this album is really rooted in the music videos that dropped for it. So Millions and No Shows were the two songs that got music videos, and they're very retro looking. They're very 80s. They're very stripped back, very simple. It's just Gerard performing essentially. I like the Millions music video because it's all like glitchy and like crazy. He also did like a little like promo video that's like a interview, like a fake interview. This like video is actually like really funny. It's really awkward. I mean, like that's the point, right? But it's very awkward just how they talk to each other, because it's just Gerard being interviewed by like an alien, and he's just being interviewed about his tour that he's gonna take in outer space. And then at the end, the guy is like, sing us some lyrics, and he just starts like singing. He just starts like saying lyrics. I think Gerard has a little knack for comedy, in my opinion. So now we're gonna talk about the tour. So Gerard gathered up a few people to go on tour with. The touring band was called The Hormones, and it consisted of Ian Fowles, who was the guitarist for the Aquabats, most notably. Remember the Aquabats? Matt Gorney, who was a part of a comedy hip-hop group called Bad Credit. Jared Alexander, who is actually the current touring drummer with MCR. He was also a member of A Static Lullaby, fun fact. Jamie Mahobrik? He is also currently touring with MCR. He has like a stacked resume, bro. He worked with Pet Shop Boys, Rolling Stones, All American Rejects, James Dews. He was MCR's touring keyboardist from 2007 up until they broke up. Apparently, he was an official member of the band for like 1 year and then they broke up. That's kind of how I feel making my first YouTube video in 2025, if I'm being honest. He's also, fun fact, if you know your Frank Iero lore, he is the second member of Death Spells. Who remembers Death Spells? I like Death Spells. They got a lot of hate when they first dropped, but I like Death Spells. So Gerard rallied up these little boys and they all went on tour together. So his first performance was at Reading and Leeds festivals. The Reading and Leeds festivals in August of 2014. So he did a small run in the US before going to the UK, and then he went to Mexico. Then he went to the EU, and then he went to the UK again, and then he went to Russia, and then he went to Japan, and then he did one date in Canada, then he did Australia, then he went back to the US, then he went to Russia, and then he went to Ukraine and then Russia again, because apparently he has a really big, rabid fan base in Russia. He did one date in China, and then he went back to the US, where he did a few shows in Texas, except for El Paso. Of course, it's not like you fucking recorded a song here, man. It's not like you literally have a song called Harez on your album, dude. Yeah, just skip El Paso like every musician does all the time. That's like an El Paso joke that touring musicians always skip us and they go straight to Albuquerque. Fucking Albuquerque. And then his last performance, according to concertarchives.org, was in the UK. Again, I mean, it's a Britpop album, it makes sense. The tour itself, as alluded to in No Shows, the song, it's very stripped back, very scaled down. It was just a rock show. This part is gonna be kind of just like my own jogging my own memory. I don't really have sources for this, but just from like what I remember, so take it with a grain of salt. I was keeping up with this because yeah, I really wanted to go, but I was in high school and my mom did not have the money to just, plop me up and take me to Austin, Texas for like a few days. I couldn't take the time off of school, and it made me really sad because he will probably never ever tour for this album ever again. And it's fine. I can just close my eyes and just imagine what it's like. I have a very vivid imagination. The vibe for this tour was, needless to say, a little disrespectful. I think because Gerard really wanted these shows to be more intimate and not like these giant, huge things like it was for MCR, people were really weird, which doesn't surprise me. If you know anything about MCR's fan base, that would not surprise you. This was also happening a lot with Frank's shows, where people were just yelling shit at them about MCR. I guess to a lot of people, this was probably the last time they thought that they would ever see them in concert, which I guess makes sense, but it's like, these were like grown-ass adults that were acting like that, dude. That's just what I was seeing online. I'm sure the concerts were very fun. He seemed to have a fun time. Gerard seemed to have a fun time. He wore a feather boa again for old time's sake. Do I think that Gerard will ever release any more solo material? I want to say yes, but I really wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did, if it was something that sounded very different. For a lot of different reasons, the main thing being Doug. So Doug was a producer and close friend of Gerard especially, but MCR as a whole. He produced Foundations of Decay, and shortly after producing that song, he died of a unexpected brain hemorrhage in 2022. I think it wouldn't really surprise me if they just decided to hold off on making new music for a little bit. Doug was a pretty integral part of making Hesitant Alien. That one page in the zine that I said I was going to talk about, it's a page about Doug. It's like a little picture of Doug, and in big white letters it says, "No Doug, no hesitant alien. And that is, that kind of sums it up for that. Like, I could see Gerard just, his friend, seeing his friend pass and just being like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do. I can understand why he would be hesitant to make new music after that. That's also part of the reason why I think the Lola plus G account has maybe been silent since 2022, because there's been new promo for MCR. They just announced another tour. They put out promo videos, you know what I mean? And that has me thinking it has something to do with Doug. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. There's literally no, like, there's nothing that can hold that up, I don't have any proof or anything, but that's just what I think. I think Doug passing plays a bigger part into that question than people want to admit. And yeah, I can completely understand why they would not want to make new music. If Gerard Way does make new music, on a lighter note, again, like I said, it's gonna be something completely different. It's not gonna be Hesitant Alien 2. I personally would love to see some, like, industrial, like, crazy harsh noise shit from him. I think he would be so good at that. I could also see him doing like dark wave, like some post-punky dark wave, or if he was feeling kind of sexy, something like kind of dancey, like Sextile or like Boy Harsher, like, ooh, like I could see him doing something like that. That would be cool. I could also totally see him just straight up dropping like a black metal album. I want to see some crazy shit. Like, if he does, like, I want it to be something like he's never made before. That would be so cool. Yeah. Also, I would love this is completely my own interjection, but imagine a Gerard Way Boiler Room set. Imagine, that would be crazy. That would be so fucking crazy. Or, maybe not Boiler Room. I don't know if I could see him doing Boiler Room. I think that's a little bit too, like, crazy. I could see him doing like a lot radio DJ set, because you're like in the room by yourself, you got like the little cameras and you just do your own thing. I could totally see Gerard doing a lot radio set. Come on, like, he just spins some records. Like, I want to know what he's listening to. That's what I want to know. I want to know what he's listening to right now. Gerard, please drop another Spotify playlist, please. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. But yeah, I think that's it. Hi, I'm back again. Thank you for sticking around if you did. I kind of forgot to talk about why I wanted to make this video in the first place. Because in case if you can't tell, this is my first YouTube video, quite obvious in the amateurish quality. The idea to make this video planted itself in my head like a few weeks ago, and I don't know. I guess maybe it's because the themes of this album and how they've kind of been aligning with my life as of lately. I'll be honest, I have been pretty depressed for the past like couple years. And I guess listening to these songs and kind of like I'm not that deep in it anymore, by the way. I'm doing good. I'm doing better. But I guess just like being in that kind of space where it's like you're looking back and you're just like, wow, I really like lost myself for a while there. And, that feeling of just finding yourself, like that's kind of what this album is about. If I haven't already yammered on about that for the past, like, God knows how long this video is going to be. I don't know. I think it's like that fear for the future, but also like kind of that excitement. I don't know. Two, I think, well, while I am filming this video, we are in the very, very beginning stages of Trump's second term as president, and the past couple days have been really scary to watch. And, I guess I kind of just needed something to not let me get back into that depressive headspace again. That kind of doomerist headspace. I think too, I'm not saying that this album is like a super revolutionary album, but it is kind of like it has a it has a sense of optimism despite the heartbreak and the hurt. And I guess I find it to kind of be like the little pop of color that I needed in these very muddy and hazy and dark kind of times that we're in right now. So I hope that this video can at least serve as a little bit of that to you. I hope. I hope you have a wonderful life. I hope you have a great day, good life, good year, good everything. Yeah. Thank you.